Okay, hello everyone. Looks like we have comments right away. Tuna Man, hello, and Craig. Well, if I were to go for shopping, I said I am away to get my message. Not sure what that's about, but hey guys. All right, so we are live, and on the panel we have our usual gang. Blarg, John, Ook, and we were able to get Neil. Neil was able to
Hey, Neil.
stay up late this time, and
Yeah.
and so we have him.
Well, my thighs were keeping me awake this week, so
You're what?
I managed to sprain one of my thighs in my sleep.
Oh
Oh,
wow!
that
It's kind of like the weirdest injury in my sleep I've ever done.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I woke up Friday morning and moved and was in immense agony for a good few hours.
Well, I mean, your
And
body
it's
explicitly
finally
prevents you
manageable
from
now.
moving.
But
Yeah, you need to stop moving, get an
It's
a full body cast.
no. Well, your body is
yeah.
normally prevents you from moving, right? So that you aren't thrashing around when you're sleeping. Let's see. Why do chicken
My
coops have
family is a
two
history
doors? Because if they had four doors, they would be chicken sedans. Nice, nice. And Tuna Man always saying nice things about the comments that people on the panel make. And he says all of us are
He's always good.
brilliant. Yes, thank you.
Bollocks.
yeah.
Oh, and we have Albania Henry as well. Hello,
Hey,
welcome.
Hey.
So
And
for
probably hiding in the and probably hiding in there we've got our usual
yeah,
usual
I have
crew,
to be careful.
monkey
I have
boy.
to be careful about posting screenshots of our Bigot Bro because he apparently goes through all my streams just looking for when I post screenshots of his comments. So I try to avoid doing that, and frustrate him a little bit. But he seems to like it when we mention him, so that he
Oh
can
yeah,
say, "Oh,
he's all
we're
for it.
obsessed." Yeah, it's hilarious. But yeah, anyway, well, today's or this week's topic will be kind of an extension of last week's topic where we were talking about Nepi. Last week we were talking about how Nepi thought there's no such thing as physical death because nothing changes before and after death. And so the only explanation that he can think of to explain um, his misunderstanding, his inaccurate understanding of what happens, the only explanation is that there must be a soul, and the soul must have just decided to leave, and that's the only reason why you're dying. Not because of that gunshot to your head, but the soul just decided, hey, you know what? I'm bored. I'm gonna go to heaven.
Or the
I would
semi-trailer
just
parked on you, or, yeah.
yeah, or anything like that. It's not because of that. It's not because you put your head underwater for over 10 minutes. It's not because of
Yeah.
that. It's just your soul.
Did you
So
see
yeah,
during the
go
week
ahead.
he posted a comment saying if I told you I could kiss a frog and it would turn into a prince, you'd tell me that's a
Yes,
fairy tale. And I'm
yes.
like, ah.
So that
Yeah,
is
Hang on,
the
did Neppy
topic.
say that? Seriously?
Yes.
yeah.
No. So
And so then he's
that
like,
is the
but if you
topic.
said if yeah, oh, brilliant. Because I just turned that into a post like 5 minutes ago, um, uh, in the same thing, and I'm like, yeah, you're an idiot. Trying to use
Yes,
that as his argument against evolution.
he absolutely is an idiot, and that's why this stream is an extension of, having more fun at his idiocy. So I'm just gonna go right to it. So here is the comment that he made. So he said, if I told you that I could kiss a frog and it would turn into a prince, you would tell me that it's a fairy tale. But the atheist, and somehow he thinks atheist says this, the atheists say if you give it billions of years, it can turn into a prince. And then it's science. So, obviously it's not atheists that say that. And I mean, no one says that.
It also doesn't
No one
take
says
billions
that.
of years. It only took about 500 million years to get from frog to human. So yeah, take that.
So he's definitely wrong. It can happen. It's just
Yeah.
that it takes only 500
'cause-
million years.
Yeah. Because we evolved from a creature that crawled out of the water that was very amphibian-y looking. It was
Yeah.
that sort of proto.
Well, it's like that stupid video, right?
Yeah.
Of like that weird AI generated video of all these like this clump of mud turning into like this cat
Yeah.
that's carrying a toaster on a beach. I mean, that's really as stupid as what Nepi is saying here.
So,
So
yeah, I
obviously
put up
there's-
that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I put up that quote from Nepi about turn it into a fairy tale, and then so Nepi, if I told you I kiss a frog, it would turn it into prince, you'd tell me it was a fairy tale. Bible, God kisses a mud pie and it turns into a person. Nepi points at that, goes, that's not a fairy tale. God did it. There it is. Genuinely, God did it.
Yeah, right there. So
That
this
link I just posted gave me the most joy all week on YouTube, and it's from
What was that?
The Lincoln Project. It's Trump as the Pope.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's get
Show it
back
later.
to that. Yeah, we can show that later, and maybe we can get the link ready to do that. But so this is actually the topic of this week, and we probably won't. This isn't enough for us to spend the whole 2 hours on this, but it's just by itself, it's just ridiculous. Because it's obviously, first of all, calling it atheist is stupid to begin with. But
Yeah,
even
the
if you
majority
say
of
it,
people who believe it are not atheists.
yeah, I mean a lot of, and I guess it comes down to what this means. When he says billions of years, it turns into prince. What he obviously is trying to say is that abiogenesis and evolution itself, right? Actually, in this case, it's really evolution. He's saying that atheists, by which he means everyone, scientists, believes in this evolution where, given enough time, a frog would evolve into a prince, into a human being. Obviously, that's not how evolution works, right? It's not this Pokemon thing where you're hatching this, you're putting this frog in, putting it into this Pokeball, and then you wait, billions of years, and it all of a sudden evolves into a prince. That's obviously not the case, but
Don't you have
it's
to
this straw
straighten
man.
up I don't know, on Pokemon or plug it into a thing? I'm not
Well,
sure.
Nepi
with
does,
Pokemon.
my prince, I choose you, after he kisses the frog. But yeah, I mean, he does this all the time, where he just doesn't understand what evolution is, and he just conflates it with atheism, and he has, like a lot of the trolls, believes that if you disprove evolution, you're going to somehow prove God, which absolutely doesn't make sense. By the way, Hardy, I think he had made some comment. I think he's like some pro. I think he maybe I can't remember, but I think it was some kind of pro Andrew Wilson comment. I may be wrong. But anyway, going back to
he's asking for a debate. I don't know what his particular position is, but
no, he's asking for a debate.
Backward dogs.
Well, he said, "Are they debating with people?" Oh,
That's
sorry,
my
I have to
favorite
go back.
position.
What existed before, I guess he means existed before the universe. Atheist or not, you have to believe in infinity. I mean, this is just like such a... low tier.
Yeah. Just,
uh,
yes,
What
something
excited
happened
before you?
13 billion years ago. We don't know what it is, but pretending you do and filling the gap in knowledge with God done it doesn't make that the true answer.
no,
So,
not just
yeah,
that. This false dichotomy where if
yeah,
for some reason it applies to atheists, you either have to believe something existed before the universe, or you have to believe in infinity. That's not a good
Well, I mean,
dichotomy.
well, you
ultimately,
have to believe in
yeah,
infinity if God exists as well, because there's an infinity of thoughts needed to have happened
yeah,
prior to God having decided to create the universe. So the infinity problem exists with the idea of God as well. Otherwise, the universe began at the exact same moment God began, if there was no time in between. So you have a philosophical impossibility with your God there, just exactly the same as if the universe came from a multiverse, for example. It doesn't make it better.
yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
outside of
certainly,
time.
yeah,
Um,
Q. This is ultimately up to you, but I certainly wouldn't mind asking him a few questions based on what he's saying.
Well, I mean, so
when,
Hardy, if you want to come on and have a discussion, that's fine. But I
oh,
mean, the kind of
but
things
it's a
that
good.
you're saying, if you watch like any atheist shows, I mean, all these things have been just answered and debunked. I mean, you're getting to a point where
Over and
it
over
comes
and
down to
over.
this, fallacy of argument from ignorance, where we don't know what happened before 13.7 billion years ago. Therefore, God. I mean,
Yeah,
that is textbook
and
ignorance fallacy.
God did not begin. Therefore, yeah. But also,
Yeah,
you've got this
it's special
issue
pleading
that
fallacy, right?
it is a special pleading fallacy. You've also got this
Yeah.
this issue that wherever you've got an event horizon, where universes collapse in, well, where matter collapses into a black hole, you have time stopped there as well. So time is not a thing that occurs at a fixed rate everywhere, all over the place anyway. So there is absolutely nothing that requires that the universe existed for infinite, or the thing the universe came from existed for infinite time before it began, because yes, if it had sufficient energy density, it didn't exist for any time whatsoever, because time wouldn't have existed in its presence. So, yeah,
Well,
all of the things you
Hardy.
claim about God are, yeah. If you knew any
Well,
science,
I
you'd know that that doesn't make it better.
yeah, I mean, Hardy said it's too late for him, so maybe some other time. That's fine if you want to come on. But I can kind of predict all the arguments. Like, oh, the
Oh,
universe must
something
have.
tells me that Hardy's always going to have it be too late. So,
Well, I mean, that's fine. I mean,
Yeah, even
I
though there's bloody an hour and a bit left in this session, so
well,
it's
I
not
mean,
like
it may be late in his time zone, which is fine. Like if he's, like for example, in Europe or something.
yeah, you don't get to believe. Yeah, you get to make up stuff based upon ignorance. Time stops from the perspective of our universe. Um, so
Can't
that's how it
fathom
is.
time freezing, and therefore there's no way to test in real life.
Yeah,
Therefore, God exists.
yeah.
So he can,
Basically,
yeah. I mean,
it's a
I mean, I
perfect
can just,
argument from ignorance. I can't believe it, therefore it's not true.
yeah. So he said he has family and he doesn't want to wake them up. So that's fair. That's not fine. I mean, that's fine. It's just that I think it's. I mean, I can just predict the argument. Well, the universe must have had a beginning because of the Big Bang, or second law of thermodynamics, or whatever.
We
So it must have
we
had
know
a
it's not
beginning.
your
So it must
argument,
have had a
Hardy.
cause. Yeah, it must have had a cause, and the only cause can be God. And just on and on, just
Yeah.
same types of
It's the
arguments. So
same rubbish argument we've seen over and over and have debunked over and over and over. It's yeah, there's nothing original in what you're saying there.
well, I mean, I think the
It's
real issue is that people who don't actually understand the science trying to use the science to say that their God exists.
Yeah, but
When
they get the science. They get the science from
Yeah,
people
they
who
get this
lie about
from
science.
right,
Either don't
right.
understand it or lie about it. They have like Discovery Institute and Dr. Dino and fuckwits like that.
Yeah. So again,
Who knows?
Hardy, what
We don't know, Hardy.
when we say argument from ignorance, is that we don't know what existed before the Big Bang, therefore God. That is
Yeah,
the argument from ignorance. We don't know
it's got to be
what existed before the Big Bang. There are a lot of naturalistic hypotheses, but that doesn't mean, we don't know, therefore God. I mean, that is literally textbook argument from ignorance, and it's just, rationally it's wrong. And I can see why people believe in God because they don't understand something. And in the past, there were a lot more things, and therefore, you have things like, I don't know how lightning occurs, therefore God. So
We have
yeah,
plenty of hypotheses about what
yeah.
could exist. Like there is reasonable evidence that a metaverse exists, or a multiverse exists.
Or
And
the
this,
crunch theory, right?
well, there's
The
there
cycle
are ways.
theory.
There's Big Bang and a cycle theory. There is sort of bubble universes theory, that the universes just occur as bubbles in other universes. There's
Wait.
the
There is
mathematics.
that. I think there is a Nobel Prize that someone got because they were able to say it could be God, and then the Nobel
Yeah, yeah,
committee said, "Oh yeah. I mean, that's really plausible. So this person should get the Nobel Prize." I think that happened,
yeah.
right?
A black hole going forward looks exactly like the Big Bang in reverse. So again, there's reason to think
Ook
that
made a
potentially black
Ook
holes
made a good
generate
comment.
universes.
Yeah, Ook made a good
Yeah,
comment.
what
What
existed before
existed before
Christianity?
Christianity?
I'm
Well,
I'm
I
already
mean,
I'm already bored. I'm already bored with this guy. He's
yeah, I
he's
know,
acting
I
like,
am.
Yeah, but
he's acting like
not having
that's
an
another
answer.
coward for his contrived creator.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
not having an
it's
answer
like I
doesn't
said,
mean you
it's
can
it's
enjoy it.
low tier.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
uh, I mean, I'd rather have more fun talking about Neppy, and I mean, this was a good distraction. But
yeah. We'll
going
move
back to
on.
what you said, right? Instead, you have a magician who gets a pile of mud and turn it into a man. You have a fairy tale, and from the whole problem here is that from Neppy's point of view, it's okay. He can just say God did it. He can just say God done it. So, we don't know what happened before the Big Bang. Well, God done it. I mean, Neppy won't say that, right? Neppy thinks that the universe is only 6,000 years old. So he's even worse than Hardy. But so the point I wanted to bring was, so I said, what if you said that a donkey could talk, right? He's talking about, kissing a frog and turning it into a prince. So that's a fairy tale. But his book literally has fairy tale where a donkey talks. It has Shrek. So when I asked, what if you said that a donkey could talk? And he's given this response before. Talking donkeys, you believe that humans are blobs of arranged stardust, and thus you literally believe that stardust can talk. Again, just like the strawman thing. So he says either there is a God, and if there's a God, talking snakes and floods are no problem. Right? So if you have a God that can do anything, he's right. You can have talking snakes. You can have a talking donkey. You can have someone who gets superpowers because of the length of his hair. I mean, you could have all those things. You could have a man resurrect, and the dead walked the cities of the streets of Jerusalem. All those could happen. But if you get to the point where you just say God done it, to say that anything is possible, then what he says here about this kissing a frog and it turning into a prince, not even in billions of years, but instantaneously, that's possible. It's not a
Yeah,
fairy
that one's
tale. Well,
fine.
yeah,
Yeah,
that,
that
I
was
mean, that should be
totally
fine.
believable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he is literally saying that his God world is a fairy tale world,
Yeah.
right? Because he's saying it's a fairy tale, kissing a frog
kiss
and
a
turning
frog.
into a prince. So,
Yeah.
so some dust turning into a man, or taking a side of a man and turning it into a woman. All those things can happen in his world and are fairy tales. So he's pretty much admitting that what he has, what he believes in, is a fairy tale.
It's hilarious. It's just so
And
good.
he's never gonna come on and defend this, right? He's never gonna. Oh, come on. Why do people try to make believe in higher beings sound dumb? It's not the make believe in a higher being that sounds dumb. It's make believe that a donkey talks, that world is 6,000 years old, despite
When we
all
know
the
it isn't.
evidence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we just have all the evidence that that's just not true. But people keep trying to claim it. You can't just go along and point at an error in that one person made in science and therefore say, well, all science is untrue except for the stuff that shows stuff we like to see. Sorry, buddy, but that's just how reality works. And yeah, God done it is exactly what the guy we're talking about said. God did it. So that's the argument that you're replacing we don't know with. Yeah.
Yeah, and as per Wook, if it's too late to join the live chat, maybe spend some time, go to bed, and wake up early in the morning and learn what words mean.
Yeah, he's perfectly happy to have the audio on so that he can hear our conversation, but he can't.
Well, he might be listening. He might be listening to a headphone. I'm not going to.
Sure.
If you don't-
It
if you
seems
don't
like
know
there's
the
always going to be an
difference-
excuse.
If you don't know the difference between a hypothesis and a theory, you're fucked from
Yeah.
the beginning.
Yeah, come on, it's low tier. So, do you agree if a higher being did exist, then it could create a mature universe that would appear to be older? So, this is exactly what I'm talking about, Hardy. What Nepi here? We call him Nepi. What he said, right? If a God exists, it could literally do anything. So, it could make a donkey talk. It could make a frog turn into a prince. It could make a universe, appear to be a mature universe. Yeah, but the thing is, it's completely. There's no reason for us to just say that, right?
Yeah, but just because it could do that doesn't mean that it did do that or that it even exists. We haven't got any evidence that the thing exists. So positing what magical powers a being that doesn't exist has or might have, doesn't serve any purpose.
And not just that, it's completely uninformative. It tells us nothing. It tells us nothing to say, well, God could have made it this way. Okay, now what? Now, how does that help us understand the universe more? If you're going to say that this God could have just done all these things without, but make it, for some reason, want to make it seem like it's completely different than, what God actually supposedly did. So he's some kind of he's just creating this
dishonest.
fake illusion. Yeah,
Yeah, he's super dishonest. He only
Yeah.
wants
Oh.
people who are gullible and scientifically illiterate
Right.
in heaven. Why? That makes no sense. if your God existed, he would, and he's the loving being that most Christians claim, then there is absolutely no reason why he wouldn't give unambiguous, absolute knowledge of his existence, so that we can then make our choices with full knowledge. But by keeping himself hidden and doing things like making the universe appear 13 billion years old when it's actually 6,000 years old, he's lying to us and forcing the only people who make a choice to be those people who are indoctrinated or bloody idiots. Sorry, Craig, not trying to throw you under the bus there, but yeah.
And also, I like the
Doesn't
idea
make any
that
sense.
God. I like the idea that God like started like layering all these sediments on the earth so that it would look exactly as if there was hundreds of millions of years of evolution and fossilization and all this layering that occurred in the precisely the same order throughout the whole planet, right? Because God is like, you know what? I need to fool the humans. I don't want them to think that the universe is 6,000 years old. I want them to think that the Earth is billions of years old. So I'm going to do all these things to fake it. I mean,
Yeah,
come
and he's
on.
really pissed. He's really pissed that people discovered his secret, that he made the universe a long, long time ago, and that
Well, he's not
there isn't a
pissed.
sky dome
He-
and the planet isn't flat. You go, all these secrets
Yeah.
that you failed to put in the Bible. That he's like,
Well,
the
the thing
universe,
is, like,
the Earth is flat
he's
under a
not
dome.
pissed. He's not the one that's pissed. It's all these Christians that are pissed that there's evolution and abiogenesis as models to explain all the things that God, this mature universe that God created, this Big Bang, the CMBR that we all found. They're all pissed because in reality, our book said it's 6,000 years old. And why don't these atheists, by which they mean scientists, why can't they figure out that God just made it look that way? Look
Yeah.
billions of years old, right?
Hence the reason for the noodly appendage part of the flying spaghetti monster argument, because any time that there's a scientific experiment which might prove that he exists, he comes down and waves his noodly appendage and changes the results. That's basically the
Well-
argument that's being done here.
Yeah, I mean, in the past, when humans got a little bit too close, like, for example, building a very tall tower, by tall meaning 40 stories, God stepped in and said, nope, you guys are getting too big for your britches. I'm
Getting
going
too close to the dome of heaven.
Yeah, too close to heaven. I'm going to stop this right now. I'm going to, in fact, create multiple different languages, which had already existed, right? But I'm going to break this up. But somehow, later, when humans built skyscrapers much, much, much higher than 40
Yeah, the Burj
stories.
Khalifa.
Yeah, it's like,
Hundreds of
what's up
stories.
with God?
Yeah.
Oh, wait. I think I know what the response by the Christians would be. Well, since Jesus appeared, it's a new covenant, so now we can make tall skyscrapers and we can go to the moon. Before we couldn't do that. We weren't allowed, but because of Jesus, we can. I think that's what's going to happen. So I'm still slightly agnostic. I mean, I guess that's like being slightly virgin. But yeah.
Yeah, look,
Okay, slightly
it's
agnostic.
no. I think that's fair to say. Look, you haven't settled on an argument, and I really wish you would find some better sources of science, Hardy, because basically you've demonstrated that you just take all of your information about this directly from people whose job it is to sell you this stuff. They make a living out of keeping you people dumb. That's exactly it. The Bible punished all of humanity for trying to build a tall tower. did it not? So,
Yeah.
so
You would think that
yeah,
you would think that means that you can't go above a certain height, right?
and the moon is part of the heavens. So, and they didn't want humans to be near the heaven. So, so clearly, you shouldn't be able to go anywhere near the moon.
Yeah. Otherwise, what is the explanation for the story of Tower of Babel? Especially if you're saying that now it's okay to have huge skyscrapers. I mean, this is where
Yeah.
a lot of Christians would step in and say, it's just an allegory, right? It doesn't mean physically trying to reach heavens, despite what the words say, right? Ignore what the words say, but infer, right? Not determine, infer the meaning, and say that it was just allegorical. God is just saying that man should have limits. I would imagine that's what Christians would argue as.
Well,
So yeah,
just read the Tower of Babel story. Yeah, it's in there. God was angry. Yes, about them trying to.
no,
There it
come
is.
on. The Tower of Babel story isn't that they were trying to become their own god. I mean, just literally read the Bible. I mean, I really don't understand why Christians don't actually read the Bible, but pretend that they do. In general, I've been a Christian for a long time. I've gone to church for decades, and for the most part, I think the Christians, they generally don't read the Bible. They'll read like little parts of it that that the preacher might bring up, or if it is like a part of the Bible that everyone reads, like sections of the Bible, but rarely people actually read it with a critical viewpoint. And that's why I think that they don't actually read the whole thing, and what they read, there's so much cognitive bias in it that they don't actually think what the implications of some of those stories are.
With the Tower of Babel bullshit, if you actually just read a plain reading of the text, you'll see that there's none of the what preachers say, the man was getting too big for his britches, he was trying to reach God, he was trying to reach the
Yeah,
heaven.
well,
None of
there
that
is-
shit is in there.
Well, sort of. It's saying that nothing will be impossible to them, having built this tower. So we want stuff to be impossible, and you're like,
Why would a supreme being
with its
want
top
to
in the
limit-
heavens.
limit its creation's understanding? You would think that he'd want them, or they'd want them to understand as much as possible.
Yeah, so Hardy, I mean, I challenge you to find anything where the text says that they wanted to be God or be like God. I challenge you. But if you can find it, yeah, that'd be great. But, that's kind of a later sort of theological reading of the story, because, you have to imagine as people started like building higher towers, taller buildings, and, going on airplanes and rocket ships, they had to come up with some explanation. It's kind of like what you would have to do if you had a cult leader that you thought was God, and then he dies. He gets killed by the authorities. What would you do? What would they do? Well, they would come up with a story. They would have to come up with a story to explain it and say, you know what? He didn't die. He actually resurrected. And in fact, he's going to come back. That's the story
day now.
that you would build.
He's going to come back before any of us die. Oh,
Well,
now they're
they
all
would
dead.
say, they would say, you know what? He's coming back soon. So don't even bother having kids. You should stay celibate. Don't get married, because he's just going to come right back. That's what they would say. And in fact, that's what Paul says to his followers. The only reason why he says, well, if you can't really restrain your carnal desires, yeah, go ahead and get married. But the really really devout worshipers, you don't need to get married. You shouldn't get married. So he says, oh, so yes, it says so we can
Yeah,
make a
I was
name
about
for
to try and read
ourselves.
that. Yeah,
Yes,
that's not
and
so become like God, or become
yeah,
gods.
right.
Make a name for ourselves, and God's like came down, saw the city and the tower that the mortals had built, and the Lord said, "Look, they are one people, and they have all one language, and this is only the beginning of what they will do. Nothing they propose will now be impossible for them. Come, let us go down and confuse their language, so they will not understand one another's speech." So the Lord scattered them abroad from there over the face of the earth, and they left off building the city. Therefore it was called Babel, because there the Lord had confused the language of all the earth, and from there the Lord scattered them abroad across the face of the earth. So, yeah, it was God being afraid of them that is the story here, which is kind of a little weird if God is all powerful.
Wait, okay, I gotta respond to this. So Meta is saying, I thought about it last time when I was here. Why would a group of dudes, who show up so much contempt with Christianity, so be all right with Craig being a Christian because
We're not
it's
contempt.
inoffensive?
Yeah, yeah, we're not. We don't have contempt for Christianity. We have contempt for Christians who are walk the path that this young fellow seems to be trying to do, which is just remain ignorant. Whereas Craig is a person who's happy to say that he doesn't understand everything, and he's happy to learn. So he's a person who wants to learn. He hasn't given up on his belief, but yeah, he hasn't buried his head in the
Also,
sand.
yeah, right. Also, it's like,
He's honest.
Craig doesn't go, I don't know this thing, therefore God, right? He doesn't
Yeah,
do
he
that.
just leaves it at the first part of the sentence. I don't know,
Right, right.
and that's the honesty that really appeals, and why we've got respect for him.
Yeah, and
Because
the other part of Christianity isn't,
and yeah,
and it
God is
isn't
being
just
a dick there.
Christianity.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
all
it
the
isn't
religions.
just, yeah, it's all the religions because there are people who use a religion to basically, make their own, kind of give themselves permission to have bigotry, to hate others, and to justify their own subjective views and call it objective by saying that, well, my God believes the same thing I do, therefore this is objective. I mean, that is the contemptible part. If you're using that to oppress other people, to say that, other people are sinful or somehow wrong or somehow are not human, those are the things that makes religion contemptible. And it's, like I said, it's not just Christianity. So, I mean, I have to say, so Hardy, I mean, I think you make a valid point here. You're just asking questions and looking for answers, but every answer has been just condescending jargon from my point of view. It sounds condescending to you because we've heard these horrible, horrible, illogical comments and beliefs over and over, and it's to me,
really easy to if you were interested, you can easily debunk them yourself. They're so
yeah.
poor quality. But look, organise. Come on next week. I'm more than happy to talk you through any of the bits and pieces. Yeah, or choose another time. Yeah, if we want to do a special session, I'm more than happy to sit down and answer the questions and look through all these things with you. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so
we
the
got
point
your
is that
blog with physics. We got Neil chemistry, Q's
Chemistry basis as well. Chemistry and
biology.
philosophy.
Molecular biology.
Yeah,
Yeah.
molecular biology and some philosophy.
I
So
got
we've got a
biology
bunch.
and
And John has the puns.
Sociology.
Don't forget the puns.
Yeah, no, I have the dad
Yeah.
jokes.
Yeah, the dad jokes. I get a feeling Hardy isn't a dad yet, but maybe he can take some pointers from you.
And in all fairness, Hardy, some of my jokes have made the people on this panel say, "Oh my God."
True.
That is
true.
that is true.
Well, and also sweet Jesus.
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
And
Yeah,
here's the
see-
other thing with Christianity, right? It's like it's always their Christianity that's correct, and if people have different beliefs, if someone is like more of a progressive Christian, then the conservative Christians are just like, oh no, he's no Christian, or if you're someone who is a Mormon or maybe even a Catholic, a lot of times, a lot of Christians don't think Catholics are Christians.
progressive
Yeah, it's-
Muslims.
Just about
You know,
every
all-
sect of Christianity views every other sect as either watered down and or delusional. So
Yeah.
it really is meta. That's you're not making the argument you think you are, man. and I really want to know by what right do you consider any version of Christianity watered down? Like what's your metric?
I mean, if you aren't calling for the stoning of gays, it's watered down. I think that's
I
where
see.
the meta is going to, or maybe not. Who knows? Anyway, we've like veered way
morally
out.
wrong to promote
Yeah.
celibacy? Not really. I don't see it as being a moral question. It's just
So no one is saying that it's morally wrong for Paul
No.
to promote celibacy.
No, you're
So-
absolutely fine to do you do you. You know,
Yeah.
if you're
Or
if
anyone else
you're not
you wanna do.
interested in having sex with anyone, then just do yourself. But if you, Paul, here's the thing, Hardy. Paul was probably a person who suffered from a type of temporal lobe epilepsy that comes with a side effect of being asexual. Means they're not interested in sex whatsoever. So it's a very common thing in people who are extremely religious. This particular condition. So yeah, that was why Paul was talking about it for himself. Jesus was talking about giving up your family because he was an apocalypticist who believed that the world was about to end, and hence the reason for the apocalyptic nature of Christianity. So yeah, he's not saying don't have sex, but saying that don't bother getting married because the world is not going to last very long. So he was obviously pretty wrong about that.
Yeah, and that's the point.
Yeah.
That Paul thought that Jesus was going to come back within his lifetime and told all his followers that you don't need to have a family. You don't need to have sex.
Yeah.
And he was
Yeah,
wrong. I mean, he was absolutely wrong, right? I think we can agree that he was wrong. And in fact, Jesus was wrong when he said he was going to come back within the lifetime of the people that were
Well,
standing around him.
At least the people who wrote down that claim about what Jesus said, because they never met him, and they never even spoke the language that Jesus spoke. So they certainly never heard him speak. So
Yeah. So it's basically, I mean, it started with Mark, right? He's kind of the originator that Jesus said all these things. Although most of it is in Matthew, where Jesus is saying, or Jesus is alleged to have said that he was going to come back with all his angels and give everyone their rewards. And we have to accept that did not happen. There's nothing in the Bible that says he came with the angels and established the kingdom of God. That did not happen, which makes Jesus a fraud and a liar. So how are you able to believe in a religion where the main character is a fraud and a liar? because Christians will say that Islam is wrong because the prophet there is objectionable, right? Has some issues.
Yeah, that is a way of putting it.
Hey guys, I gotta hop off for a couple minutes. I'll be back.
Sure. All right.
Yep.
I'll be
So
Beethoven.
wait, so Craig is gonna have to give us some dad jokes. Well,
I do-
so Craig
do wanna
says that
talk-
some believe Revelation only applies to first 100-year Christians in the Faith Church of Christ, for example. I'm not sure if I know that.
Yeah,
That
I've
means-
read that as well. It's sort of, yeah, Revelations is, yeah, not,
Revelation is just clearly a person who's having some problems, and then he wrote that down in a book.
yeah. And for
Is
someone
it
named-
problems, or is it just fanfic?
Oh, there's certainly
There's a
what he was
huge amount
imagining
of
there.
problems. And
Yeah, he was
fantasy.
schizophrenic, probably.
The if well, the Catholic Church can't take it out because it's in canon, but it's something that they don't teach, they don't hold to, they try and it's not spoken about because basically it's the hallucinogenic writings of a madman.
Well, but in general, isn't it from what I heard, it's an allegory to kind of hide essentially what some of the history, and some of it is kind of revenge fantasy of what's going to happen afterwards when
To
Jesus
the
powers
Romans,
up.
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's a lot of revenge fantasy stuff in the Bible. That's huge amounts of that. That's a thick theme running right through the whole damn thing.
Yeah, especially like in the Old Testament where, like with the, Israelites being exiled, saying that, oh, this
Yeah.
is going to end and things are going to be better and, we're going to get. And even the
But the-
Exodus, right? Looking for the
And,
promised
and
land.
don't forget, by the
But the
rivers
white-
of Babylon.
Didn't he wait
Yeah, that-
400 years to go and slaughter the Mennonites or the Canaanites? Or
Yeah, there's
something?
that as well.
Yeah.
They were mean to them when they got out of Egypt. So God is going to wait 400 years and then say to go and kill them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's either the Ammonites or Amalekites. I'm not sure which. One of
Get
those.
confused.
Oh, actually, so Hardy, is your preferred translation the King James version of the Bible? I'm just wondering.
Yeah, that's what I.
That'd be my
was asking,
guess.
basically. Yeah, it's the usual
It
thing.
would explain
the
a lot.
Single worst. Yeah, the single worst Bible in existence.
Yeah, I mean,
No,
if I
you're
was
forgetting
Satan.
the Message Bible.
Oh, well, but if I was Satan, I would try to get as many people to think that it's the best one and have them post comments in the AXP saying, go look at the KJV. If I was Satan, that's what I would do.
Yeah, is the KJV the regular Bible, Hardy? Because King James is terrible for many reasons, not the least of which that as you read it, you have to translate late Middle English into English to try and work out what's being said. Also, we know damn well that it contains very, very poor quality manuscripts as well, because Erasmus, who compiled it, he did it with just the manuscripts he had available, and some of those were Greek copies of, so essentially Greek translations that he translated back into. Don't do that. Go with the NRSV Bible is the updated version. Updated edition is the one that all of the scholars use as the Bible that is most Look, nobody can know what was originally written, but that's the best guess that anyone has of what should be in that book. So start
That's
there
the
with
one you're
that.
given if you go to a decent seminary.
And also NIV, it sucks
Yeah,
as well.
NIV is
So
pretty good.
Yeah,
no, it's not. I mean, NIV.
yeah,
Really.
it's
At
got
least,
issues as well, but
yeah.
NRSVU is just go with that. That one's the best, because you can have a look. Here's the interesting thing: you can find an abortion in the NRSVUE that you can't find in the King James, because they hide it with euphemistic language. And yeah, it's pretty damn inconvenient to Christians these days who are trying to claim that the Bible says that life begins at conception. Yeah, and that abortion is against God's laws. It just doesn't. And up until the late 1970s, that wasn't the position even of the Southern Baptist Convention, who supported Roe v. Wade when it came out. Well, essentially the scholars do the best they can, rather than just stick with, when the Dead Sea Scrolls were found, all of a sudden there's a huge treasure trove of really old manuscripts, much older than any that existed prior to that. So they should get brought in.
Yeah, although
They
most
learn.
scholars would actually would try to read it in the original language, in the
Yeah, if
sense
you
that
can. Yeah, if
Hebrew.
you're
The
capable.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Dead
But
Sea
Hebrew and Greek.
Scrolls were fantastic because they helped the trend. They helped um, linguistics translations of Hebrew. They cleared up a lot of the misconceptions and all that sort of stuff. Even the Hebrew scribes and scholars did a little bit of changing and rejigging of not change the Torah but add amendments sort of like to it, like little post-it notes. This is what this word meant in this particular time period. So yeah,
Hey,
as we
Hardy.
yep.
Sorry, go on, Oog.
Just going to say,
Hardy.
as our knowledge of linguistics increases, our understanding of ancient texts become a lot clearer. And
Yeah,
yeah, that's it.
Yeah, only thing is
that's
like
exactly it.
these scholars when they're studying this, you can't be bogged down by the dogma. So if we get new manuscripts, etc., or better understanding of the culture or the history, we
Yeah, or
can't
what
say,
certain
well, that
words
can't be
mean.
right.
Now you should update with the newer understanding. Like, you find a new treasure trove of documents that are written that use a word in the Bible in a way that's really different to what we understood it to mean. Then all of a sudden you've got to have another look at what the translation in the Bible is saying and say, oh well, could it possibly mean what this new treasure trove of documents is using it to mean? So that's what keeps happening with the likes of the NRSVU. When they update it, they're bringing in the new scholarship into it. But here's the thing I wanted to ask, Hardy: are you aware that up until the late 1970s, it was not a church anywhere on the planet's position that abortion was immoral? It just wasn't the thing. The abortion argument was brought in the late 1970s as a way to argue against. But basically, it was a wedge technique used to fight against the growing equality of black people. So
Yeah, integration, civil
yeah,
rights.
integration and civil rights. Yeah, it was anti-civil rights. That's where the position came from.
Well,
Since
it's
about
not
400.
necessarily anti-civil rights as much as they wanted to be able to discriminate against people and keep their tax exempt status. So
Yeah.
they could have just discriminated against black people, or as
But it
long
was
as,
unacceptable.
but they would have lost because of the civil rights bill. They would have lost the tax exemption status, but that wasn't, that was something that was worse than anything. So they have to say, what, we're going to have some kind of political power because we need to have that tax exemption status, and we need to have the power to do things that we want to do, including segregation, including being able to discriminate against blacks. And that's how the Southern Baptist Convention got started, because they wanted to be able to continue to discriminate against blacks.
Yeah.
So
Hardy, that's a terrible argument, that things were different in the past, so therefore it's now immoral. If abortion if abortion was immoral today, regardless of how it occurs, then it should have been immoral 50 years ago, but that none of the churches thought it was immoral 50 years ago.
I don't think that's true, though. I mean, it's not
yeah.
none of the churches. I mean, like
Well,
the Catholic Church.
The majority of churches were fine with abortion up to the point of the quickening, and that had been the position basically of the church since about 400 AD. When it was finally settled, there was a philosophical argument based upon three positions from Greek thought. So, the argument basically was, until the baby begins to kick, which is what's called the quickening, it wasn't a living being at that point. But a lot of people still held the position, which was actually the earlier position, that a baby is not a person until it inhales its soul upon birth. So the word soul means breathe. So you don't get a soul until you begin to breathe, and if you never begin to breathe, you never begin to get a soul. Also, there was, they definitely did abort babies. They've known how to abort babies since the time of the Greeks. So
because there's also what's called a miscarriage, right? So
Yeah.
So when you essentially induce a miscarriage, that's called an abortion, because abortion is basically termination of the pregnancy, and the termination of the pregnancy can happen in many ways. So you can't say, that there wasn't abortion back then.
ancient Christianity.
They found
Yes. I'm gonna tell you how
this
they
is
used to.
this is I'm sorry, this is another really annoying talking point that
that's-
people who have no understanding what morality is, it brings up, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this person is a tag person, which is
Well-
another annoying and horrible.
well, let's
horrible
just say they
argument for God.
joined February this year, 1st of February. Nothing on their profile, just yeah.
Okay, sorry. So a miscarriage is considered a tragedy, but according to Christians, God is the one who's inducing all these miscarriages, and large percentage of pregnancies end up, being miscarriage.
No, who is making this blanket statement that the miscarriage is a tragedy?
Hardy was saying it.
Most people would consider it a tragedy.
is a
if
tragedy,
you want to keep the,
Unless you had 9
if you
kids.
wanted that, but if you wanted that child, yes, you'd consider it a tragedy. But here's the thing: in Numbers 5, there is an abortion occurs there, and it's proposed. So in that, they make a magic potion that contains sweepings from the floor of the tabernacle. Now, one proposed discussion about what is actually happening there is that in the time that verse was written, so Numbers 5 was written a long time back. So one of the really old verses of the Old Testament. In that time, metallurgy was a component of religious doctrine, of religious behavior. So smelting was something that actually occurred in the tabernacle, the smelting of, specifically the smelting of brass and bronze.
And by the way,
And
he who
copper.
smelt it dealt it.
Oh, come
Yeah.
on.
So
Sorry.
on the floor of the tabernacle would be found metal salts, specifically the copper sulfate, the blue material that you can smelt to make copper. That will induce an abortion, and that was a thing that was known by the Greeks at that time. So, so yes, copper sulfate had been used as an abortifacient all the way back at that stage. So, yes, that's what the proposal is that is occurring here. That the priest puts copper sulfate in the water and makes the water bitter with the copper sulfate, and when she drinks it, it causes the abortion and all sorts of other problems that are described by that passage. So yeah, it's an abortion. So
By the way, I know that pixies exist because pixies are the ground of all logic, and we can't have logic without pixies, therefore pixies exist. So that's your tag argument.
yep, solid argument, can't be argued with.
I don't think finding scraps of copper sulfate is enough evidence for abortion.
Just read the passage. It's an abortion. It doesn't matter. So it's either an abortion caused by magic or it's an abortion caused by copper sulfate. So, but
So
no matter how you
here's
read
what
it, it's an abortion.
here's what the verse says. I have it on the screen.
Yeah.
So this is when I guess I would read it.
It's the jealous husband.
So this is the Lord, and meaning God, telling Moses, and it's kind of weird, it's kind of wild, right? That God is telling Moses this. I mean, he's like giving he's micromanaging his people. Speak to the Israelites and say to them, if any man's wife goes astray and is unfaithful to him, if a man has had intercourse with her, but is hidden from her husband, so that she is undetected, though she has defiled herself, meaning, she had sex outside of marriage and she may be pregnant. And there's no witness against her since she was not caught in the act. So this husband is like, he suspects that his wife cheated on him, but he has no evidence. So if a spirit of jealousy comes on him and he is jealous of his wife who has defiled herself, again, no evidence, right? It's just this
jealous.
spirit of jealousy. Yeah, he's just jealous. And he is jealous of his wife, though she has not defiled herself. So we have to figure out what's going on. Did she actually defile herself or not? So then the man shall bring his wife to the priest, right? Because that's where you would go to figure this out. And he shall bring the offering required for her, 1/10 of an ephah of barley flour. He shall pour no oil on it and put no frankincense on it, for it is a grain offering of jealousy, a grain offering of remembrance, bringing iniquity to remembrance. So again, this is God telling Moses that this is what should happen. Then the priest shall bring her near and set her before the Lord. And this means not literally the Lord, but the image of God. So, no idols, right? The priest shall take...
In this time, the essentially idols of God were thought to essentially inhabit some power of God within it. So when you go to so the altar in a tabernacle is imbued with the power of God. So when you bring someone before that, you are essentially bringing them before the Lord.
And it's not just for Judaism. That was the case for a lot of religions in that region.
Essentially all of them.
Yeah, which this Judaism came out of. So, that's where they have all these images of God. And also Asherah, his consort wife.
The post that was in the tabernacle was the idol of Asherah.
Yeah. And what's crazy, and this is a little bit aside, is that when the politics shifted, where they wanted to centralize the temple at Jerusalem. Instead of having all these temples in other places, they had to say, you know what? You can only worship Yahweh in Jerusalem in the central temple, and all the other places where they have other idols like Asherah is wrong. And so that kind of political and kind of trying to grab power, consolidate power, centralize power, all that is the explanation of how some of these different beliefs, versions of Judaism. So like there's one that believed in El and the other one that believed in more of a Yahweh kind of thing. And they had to kind of get combined. So when you look through the Bible and you read it critically, you'll see that there are multiple different places where El and Yahweh come up, and you have like different versions of the same story. For example, different versions of the creation story, different versions of the flood story, and also different versions of what happened with David. There's like all these like different versions because there were just these kind of these sects that had to somehow get consolidated. So this is all just man-made stories that that man at the time was really just using to kind of control the population. It was kind of a power thing. And now what we have is, this is all, word from God. So this can't be, there can't be any error, and it's infallible. It's just ridiculous. Anyway, to go back to the story. So this is where, the priest shall bring her near and set her before the Lord. The priest shall take holy water in an earthen vessel and take some of the dust that is on the floor, dust on the floor of the tabernacle, and put it into the water. I mean, come on. It's like, this is some kind of holy test to figure out if this woman was faithful or not. Taking dust from the floor of the tabernacle. The priest shall set, and this dust is what Pilar was talking about in terms of the abortifacient. The priest shall set the woman before the Lord, dishevel the woman's hair. I mean, come on, why? And place in her hands the grain offering of remembrance, which is the grain offering of jealousy. In his own hand, the priest shall have the water of bitterness that brings the curse, right? Brings the curse. Then the priest shall make her take an oath, saying, if no man has lain with you, if you have not turned aside to uncleanliness, while under your husband's authority, right? Not marriage, under his authority, be immune to this water of bitterness that brings the curse. So if she was faithful and she drank this water, she would be unaffected, right? Magic. But if you have gone astray while under your husband's authority, if you have defiled yourself and some man other than your husband has had intercourse with you, let the priest make the woman take the oath of the curse and say to the woman, the Lord makes you an execration and an oath among your people when the Lord makes your uterus drop, your womb discharge. So what could that mean? The womb discharge. Now may this water that brings a curse upon your bowels and make your womb discharge, your uterus drop. And the woman shall say, Amen, Amen. So that's the test, right? So he shall make the woman drink the water of bitterness and bring the curse, and the water that brings the curse shall enter her and cause bitter pain. And again, this is God telling Moses that this should be your standard operating procedure when some jealous man brings his wife and says, I have no evidence, but I think she cheated.
And the only evidence you could have that would make any sense there is if she was pregnant and the husband's like, I wasn't home at that time.
Yeah.
I was off with the army.
Yeah. So if she has this, what is the term? Your womb discharge. Why would that happen if she wasn't pregnant?
Yeah, what's
And
there
if
to
she was,
discharge?
was it?
What is there to discharge if it's not
Yeah.
if she isn't pregnant?
Yeah. So the idea is that if she had cheated on the man and got pregnant, this was a way to, essentially abort the fetus or
Yeah, and then
abort.
punish her for it. And here's the reason why
Oh
it
my
actually
gosh.
worked.
Oh, come on, Hardy. Don't say things like this because this makes you look really, really bad. So the baby only dies if she's unfaithful. Okay, that matches up with Mosaic law. No contradiction there. Many people are killed in the Mosaic era. God's law was in control. I don't know if you read the
God's
Bible,
law
but
still in
according to
control?
the Bible, Jesus tells you to be obedient to the Mosaic law until the heavens and the earth passes. So as far as I know, the heavens and the
And to
earth
be
did
even
not
more
pass.
obedient.
Yeah, so you are supposed to be obedient to every single Mosaic law. So you can't say, you know what, in the past when Mosaic law was in effect and we had to listen to it, it's fine that they aborted children this way. But now it's wrong. It's morally wrong. Now it's morally wrong. And,
But
but
for some reason, it wasn't morally wrong then.
yeah,
And you're like,
because God
it was
had,
either
yeah.
morally wrong. So it's either morally wrong then and now, or it's not morally wrong then and it's not morally wrong now. And here's the thing that's interesting about it. While this looks like it's God making the decision, it isn't. It's the priest making a judgment, because all the priest has to do is choose where he takes that handful of dirt from. Take it from a place with lots of the copper sulfate, it will cause the result. Take it from a place with almost none, it won't cause that result. So it's the priest making the decision in this case to abort or to not abort. So yeah, it is an abortion, and that is how abortions. Well, one of the ways in which abortions were done in that time. There were other known abortifacients. Note that this is a pretty nasty thing to do to a person as well, because while it will abort the offspring, a little tiny bit more, and it will kill the woman as well. So the difference between an abortion dose and a fatal dose is quite small, and easy for that to happen. But it's just a woman, so in that era they weren't very important. They were just property.
So Hardy, I recommend you watch the Deconstruction Zone or on the AXP when Justin is on. He runs the Deconstruction Zone because all the things that you say here are brought up over and over and over by the callers into
And
the
Justin's
Deconstruction Zone.
excellent at dealing with it.
Yeah, and he's going to, like, all the things that I said, he will say similar things, except he will tell you exactly where in the Bible it says that. So it's definitely worthwhile for you to at least listen to him. And, if you're actually interested in the Bible, it's a good way actually for you to learn about the Bible. I mean, I learned quite a bit about the Bible, and it wasn't like I didn't know the Bible, but I didn't understand the Bible in the way that he was bringing it up. I wasn't aware of a lot of the different parts because when I was a Christian, I wasn't shown those parts of the Bible where it is a little weird if you stop and think about it. For example, when David had an affair with Bathsheba and had Bathsheba's husband killed, God wasn't happy with it, and he committed a sin, right? So what did God do? Did he punish David? Yeah, in a way, by having the child killed, or not killed, but die. And in fact, not just like die, but die after suffering for a bunch of days. And he also said, you know what? Here's what I'm going to do. Because you did this, I'm going to have your wives or / concubines be, raped to kind of use not use the R word directly, have raped in public because you did something in secret, but I'm going to make it public. So he punished not David. It's not like he had, bunch of people come and like, grape him, commit sodomy on him. He had someone else go and take 10 of his wives / concubines and have them raped. Why? They were innocent.
Yeah, they didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
And that's the sort of God that is in the Bible, this grounding of morality bullshit. If you have a look at it, using the rules of morality that you apply, or that you claim to apply, that God is the most immoral beast of a creature you can possibly imagine. But then when pointed out, you just go, well, he's God, he can do whatever he wants. So you just give him a pass on it. You go, oh, God is love, except when God isn't, and then that's God's prerogative because God is, God can do anything he wants. But God is still love. It's
For whatever
it's
that means, right? When they say
absolutely
God
ridiculous.
is love.
Yeah.
And by the way, my point about bringing that up is because I didn't really, and I may have read that part, but I didn't really remember it or really understand the implication. I may have read it and thought, you know what, that's what God did. That's fine. It never like hit me that, you know what, that's not right. It's not right that these women got publicly raped because their husband had committed adultery. But somehow you seem to be okay with that, which is kind of
But
weird.
why does God's true plan require that innocent people be harmed? That makes no sense. If God is good, then God's plan should not involve innocent people being harmed. God is righteousness, but there's nothing righteous about inflicting harm upon an innocent to punish to punish someone else. That's not righteous.
That's not
the
justice.
opposite of it. That's the
Yeah,
opposite.
it's not justice.
No. No, it's like I go along and rob a bank and kill a whole bunch of people, and they send my wife to prison. You go, that'll learn me. And you go, she didn't do anything.
Hardy, I'm not going to say, I don't think anyone here should say that you are a coward for wanting to go to bed. That's fine. I hope you
No.
go and watch the Deconstruction Zone. And, I think this is probably hard for you to kind of pick up, but at least like look into some of these things and at least get your like critical thinking in gear and think about, that doesn't make sense. Or, instead of just trying to justify everything, try to kind of at least think through it.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say.
And I want to say this to Hardy real quick. I want you to look up this classical paradox called the Euthyphro dilemma. It describes how it's hard to explain. I'm not good at explaining, so just look it up. But it sums up your argument pretty nicely.
Yeah,
Drop a
it's
link in
either
there.
God orders it because it's good, or it's good because God orders it. I mean,
That's good.
it's a horrible.
Yeah, in which case it's yeah. Have a squiz at it, and talk to us online on the leave comments. You're more than welcome to ask questions. That's it. That's all you got to do. Ask questions. I think it's EUTHU.
I put it in.
EUTHRO. Okay. Euthyphro. That's it. There it is.
But hey, Steve-O,
How you doing,
welcome.
Yeah,
guys?
we were
thanks.
having a Bible reading session when you
Oh
came up.
no! Why?
Oh, wait. Let me. I want to give a the dad joke. Okay, who is the best comedian in the Bible?
I don't
Have
know.
you guys
who.
heard this?
No.
Samson, because he brought down the house.
Oh. Well
That's
done.
bad.
Well done.
Let's not forget the question from the joke from Tuna that was back up a bit further.
Oh, which one?
What's the difference between a well-dressed man on a tricycle and a poorly dressed man on a bicycle? Attire.
Oh, Jesus.
No, that's pretty good.
That's
a
pretty
good
good.
one.
That is pretty
I
good.
like that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
not
it's not until
everyone
you
will
say
get
it.
it. You know, if you just have a 10th grade education, maybe you might not get it, but that's a
Lucky
little
I had at
in-joke.
least 11th. So
Yeah.
it took a little
Yeah,
while,
that's
but
really
finally blew a
good.
cobweb and got it.
Oh, see, I knew it. Craig would have heard it.
Hey, can I move us to a slightly different topic
Sure.
since we're getting towards the end?
Yep.
Did we all see Pete Hegseth's prayer?
Oh my God.
I had to look at it. I didn't hear it yet.
There's actually.
Sir, that is not real news. That is just Pulp Fiction that you're spreading.
Oh yeah,
Wait,
now
so
I get it.
wait. That's a good one. Did you guys see Dan McClellan's response to that?
Not yet. I've
No.
not seen that yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. I mean, I like Dan's outrage, especially when people like him essentially misuse the Bible, and then try to kind of get the moral, try to get the moral high position when they literally don't have it.
And have you seen the some of the memes about Trump as Jesus?
Oh no, I haven't seen them. You know, I need.
There are so
this
many.
This is where I want to get back to Twitter because there's always fun ones there.
The link I just posted
I like the Scrubs one. Scrubs one's
is
good.
the Trump as the Pope. It's quite a good one.
Yeah, I'll check that in. Let me give it a second here.
Pirate got upset that I liked the Lego thing they did about Trump, and he said, "You're supporting." No, I'm just supporting anyone who. I just enjoy taking the piss out of people, and the Lego one, the Lego stuff that's going around is fantastic. No matter who's doing it. And the fact that Lego are letting them do it is because they're savage with their trademark. You breach their copyright and they'll come after you. But, the
Shoot,
Dan
I'm trying
McClellan
to-
one is good.
Yeah, let me show that. Here we go. Hold on, I'm gonna put it here, and I have to press play.
Betty, I've been hearing from a lot of people today about Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of the Department of Defense, quoting a fake Bible passage from the movie Pulp Fiction, and I thought I'd share just a couple of thoughts on that. To begin, if you were not aware, Hegseth said he wanted to share this prayer that had been given to him by this particular military unit.
Oh, and I presume Hardy's gone, but this is the Dan McClellan that. Oh, sorry, I didn't mention Dan McClellan, but Dan McClellan is also a good resource where he can talk about the scholarship of the Bible and how a lot of Christians misunderstand it. But here we go.
That had been adapted to resonate with their particular mission. And he said it is based on Ezekiel 25:17. And he said this with a bit of a smirk on his face, and there was a bit of a chuckle from the audience. I think he knew exactly where this came from. So for those folks who think he just ignorantly cited a line from Pulp Fiction thinking it was actually from the Bible, I don't think that's true at all. But this is a line that was written by the creators of the movie based on Ezekiel 25:17 to be put into the mouth of a hitman, basically, to perform right before he murders a guy. And the rhetorical impact is very clearly one, to make it sound really badass, but
I presume everyone knows that scene, right? Where Samuel
Yeah.
Jackson, before he starts shooting, he quotes this, he says it's Ezekiel, whatever, but it isn't. It's kind of made up.
also to give this character a sense of kind of self-rationalization based on the notion that he's carrying out God's vengeance. And for military units to adopt that fake Bible passage as a prayer kind of feels like it is using this bit of performative badassery to validate and authorize killing people. And this is
I love the badassery.
The unit that's tasked with protecting downed pilots. It's obviously a righteous mission. That's a good thing. That doesn't have to involve quoting fake Bible passages to make you feel really badass right before you kill people. And we also recently had Speaker Mike Johnson criticize the Pope and defend the war in Iran after the Pope said that God won't hear the prayers of those who wage war. And Speaker Johnson was basically like, maybe the Pope needs to learn about just war theory. And the Pope knows about just war theory. It's Speaker Johnson who needs to learn about just war theory, because just war theory is about defensive war. And that's not in any way, shape, or form whatsoever what the war in Iran is. The war in Iran is something that Trump instigated. And while there have been numerous attempts to try to rationalize it, and Speaker Johnson provides his own, saying this is the #1 funder of terrorism in the world, so we've probably protected millions and millions of lives. That's not a rationalization that fits just war theory. That's just...
Yeah, it's just blatant rationalization of just trying to make what Trump did okay, right? It may seem make it seem okay.
Just a pathetic attempt to rationalize away the waging of offensive and aggressive war in the name of billionaires who are serial sexual predators and can barely read and lie about literally everything. And if Speaker Johnson had the capacity for shame, he should be ashamed of himself. And the fit for this video has been Adonai and his Asherah.
Asherah, as in the wife of God.
Yeah, there it is again.
Yep.
The tree. Yeah, I'll give you this this meme.
Wait, sleep
Now-
apnea is linked to this household item. What is it? I need to know.
We'll get to that. Now, where is the
You need
one
to
I'm
make
sharing?
it bigger. It's hard to
I-
see.
Oh, hang on, that's not it. Which one am I got? Hang on,
And he took this down, right? He posted this, and then there was enough of a backlash from the conservatives that he took it down.
So that's the original poster, but this is not the original poster.
Okay.
This is a video.
Your reckoning has come. What is this?
Yikes!
Yeah, that's one way to do it. Take care of business.
So
Yeah.
he's a false prophet.
Yeah, that's the that's that. There's a bunch of others too. There's one where oh, hang on, let me get rid of that
Oh,
one.
come on. I mean, like, I'm unconvinced that atheism is coherent. Obviously, this person doesn't know what atheism is, because atheism is basically saying, we don't have evidence to believe God. And so all you have to do is, instead of saying, I'm unconvinced that atheism is coherent, all you have to do is show evidence for God. That's really it. And instead of just coming on here and kind of crying and throwing a tantrum, a toddler tantrum, when you're asked to shoulder the burden of proof for your God claim, just man up and show the evidence. But anyway, go ahead.
I got some more there if you want to pop it up.
Oh, let's see. Here we go.
Okay, so that one there is the original thing, and then we've got this posted up. God might be playing his trump card. Trump posted this himself.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, after getting walloped, Trump posted this, and you're like, what the hell? So we got some stuff like this. Oh, because remember he said it. No, he didn't think it was him being Jesus. He was him being a doctor.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Oh, there are so many. There's Dr. Jesus Medicine Man.
Really? Wow.
That's a good one.
They don't end. Dr. Jesus Medicine Man.
Crazy. All right. Let's see.
I lack belief that Ninth of Kadosh has more than 5 brain cells.
Well, that can be
Is that
argued.
coherent or incoherent? Just making assertions without any evidence. So, well, thank you, Craig, for staying up. The Q-tip cult meeting.
I want
It's
to.
kip time for Craig. He's got to go have a kip.
I want to show you all something before we go. Let me go turn my camera on here. This is I got from Deconstruction Zone right here.
Oh, did you? Wow,
Yes.
that's cool.
Oh,
Yeah,
you got
now-
the cheat. The
Yeah, I
cheat
got the
sheet.
cheat sheet. Yes, I got the cheat sheet.
Nice.
That way I can keep up with everything.
Legendary.
Nice.
Yes. Now I gotta study them all to get a really good idea again, but at least I know where I start now.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I just thought it'd been nice to have.
It's really weird, Christians coming on here without any evidence for their God and just shifting the burden and throwing a toddler level tantrum. It's hilarious.
It is. I mean, you come in here and say, well, I don't believe atheism is true. Now prove me wrong. Well,
Yeah.
how? It's a null hype. It's a null.
Some of you might
go ahead.
know
Yeah, no
whatever his
hypothesis.
name is
The hypothesis, yes.
from his other name, the atheist delusion. That's what he used to post
that's
under.
him?
Yeah.
Oh, is there
So-
like comments in the AXP? That's
Yeah, he has made a
That's his
few
handle.
over the last year or so,
yeah.
but generally he's just a low-level trolling godling.
Which one, the
Not much
Ashura Azoth one or the other
Yeah,
one? The
night
one?
of whatever.
Oh, the night of, okay.
Yeah,
The night of Kadash.
yeah. AKA the atheist delusion.
I see. Yeah, I mean, if he's coming back with, oh, atheism is not coherent, I mean, yeah, it is pretty stupid.
All right, Knight. I challenge you. Explain why it's not coherent instead of just asserting it, please. I'd like to know.
Yeah, talking donkey is fine, but come on, not believing in things without evidence? You guys are crazy.
Got another meme.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the papers.
Well, he's never gonna have to stroke out because he
What
gets water.
what the hell are those cankos?
That's basically
know-
what he's got under his pants.
If he was, like Jesus, he could have cured those cankos. He could have cured that gut of his.
There are so many.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Oh man.
Yeah. So
Weird.
these guys are like going, I don't want to give evidence for God. I want you to disprove my beliefs.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. OMG guys, I made him orange to warn you. That's a good one.
Yeah. Wow.
There are so
I
many.
love those. Those are good.
It's always good for a laugh, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Hey, did you see? Which one? One of the late night hosts was saying that the AI can do all sorts of things. I can make you Jesus. I can give you the healing powers. I can give you the fireworks. But you weigh what you weigh. Stephen Colbert. It's because in the one where he's doing it, he's still fat, Trump. So yeah.
And the other funny thing is like whenever, and this happens with like Nappy and and our friend. I have to get this ready.
Laugh a while you can, monkey boy.
where
Monkey
they
ball.
claim that these atheists are emotional and having a meltdown while we are literally laughing at them for not being able to back up anything that they say. Apparently, that is like us having a meltdown. But I did actually, one of the things I did want to bring up was, oh, do I have it? Um, so, our monkey boy, and by the way, he had posted like a bunch of comments about sperm, and I don't know if he's responding to what someone said or not, but I thought that was just hilarious. And so I mentioned to Karsten that instead of monkey boy, we should be calling him spunky boy.
I just spotted that. Yeah, and I think, oh, that's probably a good choice. And this one might be the most disturbing of all.
Oh,
You know,
Oh no, no, my eyes, my eyes.
wait,
That is hands
wait.
down the best one yet.
But this is exactly in line with Nepi's theory,
But-
right? If God can make a donkey talk, why couldn't he give rest to Trump?
Medically, he doesn't provide a lot of support.
It's so good. We'll just go real.
Oh my God, we're having a meltdown with this.
Oh, melt me down.
Oh my
melt me
God.
down to slag.
When
Boy, you really milked that one for all it's worth.
Oh,
when they change their scrubs to Jesus type robes, I don't know. Trump cannot be. He has no filter. I mean, I've got fuck all filter, but Trump has none. He just makes it up as it goes along. I was dressed as a doctor, a Red Cross doctor. In what world? You don't see any
I don't know
doctor-
if that's him coming up with that or his PR people kind of trying to find ways to make him seem not as bad as he is.
I-
oh, he definitely said himself that he thought it was a doctor, and you're like, yeah, doctors have light coming out of their hands, and people praying to them. That's not how that works.
And the
I've
thing is,
seen
like, there
some
are a lot of
straight-
Christians who actually would be okay. At least there'll be some, right? Would be okay with thinking him as the savior, as the Messiah. I'm sure there's some weirdos who think that he's a second coming. It's not completely out of,
Sorry, I can't talk.
realm of possibility.
I'm eating sesame seed stuff.
All right. Before we end it, well, is there more?
Oh,
geez.
there's hundreds.
Oh, we're gonna be here all night, aren't we?
We could be, yeah. It's just there's so many.
Oh boy.
Well, at least let me make some coffee real quick to stay up.
Yep, they just don't stop.
Okay. So the other thing I wanted to discuss, and this will be the last. So I think Monkey Boy has been really trying to cope. When he deletes a whole bunch of his comments, he's making a run for it. But this comment that he kind of keeps on posting, where does anybody know why the channel Challenger Believes commented that defining gametes type means, graping children? What the fuck? And he, as an evidence, right? Because he doesn't want to just make that claim, so he gives evidence. But the thing is, these quotes that he just so I never like said all these at once. These are little bits of, kind of comments
Of
I've
course they
made
are.
at him. Yeah,
Yeah, but
and he
they're all
just
taken out of
twisted it again.
context.
Yeah,
But
course.
also,
but even out of context, how does this support his
it doesn't.
claim, right?
No, it does not, not
But the
one
thing
bit.
is, like,
Not even close.
most of them are questions to him that he evades. He never responds to any of these.
Of course.
So like, okay, so what I told him was that use of sex determination is based on the size of the gametes. So what in all that's holy are you doing when you meet little children? Because if you're saying that sex is gender and you determine sex by gametes, that means like every people you meet, not just children, you're trying to find out what their gametes are, right? So that was the point I was making. And then I said, when you see a little girl, you check to see if she's producing eggs before you conclude her gender. And a lot of this, especially with, like asking kids, is because prepubescent children are not making the they're not producing gametes, right? So how are you determining their gender? So I said, how the hell are you extracting their gametes? And what do you do when you don't get any gametes? Do you try harder? And so the next part is, why won't you confirm that you aren't molesting kids just because of your wrong belief that sex and gender are the same? He could easily say, I don't, right? But he never comes out and says, I don't. He just says, why, he says this stupid thing of, why does this channel say
doesn't
defining
Damon,
gamete type?
Oh my
deny
God.
the
Tuna.
fact that he beats his
Terrible.
wife every night?
Wait,
Yeah.
sorry, did he actually say that or?
No, but that's the same. Why, if he's asking you to deny something you haven't said
Oh, yeah.
or
Yeah.
do, why doesn't he confirm that he doesn't beat his wife?
Yeah.
It's the same bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, he's not even, like, engaging in the point, which is that if you have a view that sex and gender are the same, and you determine sex by gametes, even though we've told him over and over, just looking at the gametes alone isn't sufficient. It's not a necessary and sufficient condition to say, what someone's sex is. So he doesn't engage with that. And I think it's because he knows that he won't, he doesn't really have a response for it, so he doesn't address it. But it's just ridiculous when they just like make these claims and then put a quote that has like nothing to do with what they're saying. Nothing. It doesn't directly support what they're saying, and they pretend that putting up those quotes is somehow defending their position. So anyway, I thought that was kind
The
of funny.
fact that Pirate and him both have conversations, they make posts that they don't say who they're talking to or what they're talking, and they just dribble on.
And by the way, they're now very careful to not mention me because I've been like saying, rent-free LOL, which is
Yeah.
actually just quoting what Pirate was saying whenever like people mention him. He said, and this was just like once, rent-free LOL. So I've been just like throwing that back at him whenever they obsessively mention me for whatever reason. But yes, that is. But let me. Oh, this is a good one. What's the body temperature of a tauntaun? Lukewarm.
I like that. That is excellent.
Tuna had some good ones today.
Yeah. Rocket it. Yeah, I enjoyed this little cognitive assessment test as well. Please identify the doctor.
Oh my god.
So yeah, they just keep doing it. He's really stepped in it with this one.
Yes, he did.
And I said some people
And
are okay with. Go ahead.
Pissing off the Pope is something you just don't do. I think he's under the misapprehension that because the Pope was born in America, he has some loyalty to America. When he renounced his American citizenship, he's actually Brazilian.
Yeah.
Is crazy. And it's going to be very interesting over the next few months to see how Trump tries to play Catholics off against each other. Because the conclave of American cardinals have already come out. They're right behind the Pope and basically told Trump to get fucked. It's going to be a very
they'll lose their
interesting-
tax-free status. Because if any of them have ever, I'd really want to see Trump do that. If any of them have ever
excellent.
mentioned something about
ice, that could be you. Oh yeah, because some of the.
But
ooh.
more importantly, is there's that ICE thing's already going, but decide to impose the taxation on them if the law that says that you can tax. You lose your tax-free status if you talk about
Political,
religion.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry if you
No,
talk about.
but actually that
political.
was like weakened specifically so that
just
religious
recently.
people can, so they can still keep
Yeah.
their tax exempt status and
Yeah,
talk
but-
about,
But since when does Trump and his cronies do what the law says?
yeah.
So
sure.
they'll go
they'll
along. They can go
weaponize
along
it,
and say,
right.
yeah,
It's going to
It's
be
like,
a very
oh,
interesting time.
the Catholics are giving me grief. Therefore, we'll take Catholics out of the tax-free status because they're engaging in political speech.
Yeah, a political speech is bad unless it's for them, right? If it supports them, then it's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, that's
The
exactly
double
right.
standard, always a good one.
What is
Yeah,
this
they didn't have double
discussion about
standards, they
VR
wouldn't
you
have
guys
them.
are having? So I
Just
do
you.
have an Oculus 2.
No,
I'm
it's just he was
thinking of
talking
getting
about.
Oculus 3.
He was just talking about I was talking to Neil, and he brought up a game because I made a comment, and I'm just like, I'm good. I'll try it.
Yeah, I like it. You can also like get some good exercise from it as well. So
yeah.
I recommend it.
Yeah, and always
All right.
film yourself while you're doing it because that way you can make some money out of when you punch your TV.
Actually,
or
I
took the ball
noticed
from-
the other night when I was visiting my favourite porn site, they now have a whole section.
Wait, you have a favorite? Aren't they all your favorite?
No, there's
Well, he's used up all the other ones.
anything from
got-
Eastern Europe.
He's got to
I
the
don't
end.
like. Yeah.
Wait, by the way, are there any like ones that are like Australian specific, meaning based in Australia that's catered towards Australians? Or do you guys have the same basic ones?
The same basic ones, except that if you're an Australian porn producer, say a OnlyFans person, you can decide to block Australian people from watching you,
Oh,
so that you
that's
don't
understandable.
Yeah, but I happened to be on there, and there was a whole new section, and lots of fancy, flashy lights and everything. Come and have a look at this new thing, and it's VR, virtual reality sex, but they're also selling, wank machines. Those.
Is
They
that the
look like
technical
something-
term?
Yeah, they look like something you'd drive, star pickets in. They hold them like that, and there's a spot where you can put your phone into them, and speakers on them, and
Wow.
I just went.
It seems like it's too much effort,
It's-
just for a wank.
Just for a wank?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I'm not going to fork out. And I went and had a look at.
Yeah, but if you're an
The-
incel and you can't get any, then maybe,
Maybe.
Yeah.
it's not a wank. It's a partner.
you're looking at
It's your
forking out at
robot
least
love.
$4,000 to get.
It's probably cheap. At least it can't take your well, at the moment, it can't take your house if it decides that you're terrible in bed.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, prostitution's legal in Queensland, so I mean,
You're lucky
$4,000
bastard.
would certainly get you quite a few decent out calls. But I don't know what the price are.
Yeah, I have to say, like, one of the biggest drivers of technology is, adult services. Like
Yeah.
all the video advancements.
Ooh.
I'm sure, like, there are a lot of, like,
Oh.
sort of, for these porn
The-
sites, there's probably have, like, top of the line coding,
The
to deliver
AI.
this.
I
Yeah.
went into it because I saw the VR sex, and I had to know about that.
Oh,
Oh.
yeah.
Then I went
right,
into the
AI.
hentai and the AI stuff, and and about 2 hours later, I'm still sitting there going, I'm amazed. All thoughts of having a wank just went out. Wow, this is really good animation. Why the fuck aren't these people making movies? And then I realized, hang on, they probably are. They're just making more money out of the porn.
Yeah.
Um,
yeah.
But there's a whole. It just surprised the shit out of me that there's a whole section of virtual reality porn, and they've got the machines, and you don't even need a computer. You can just hook it up to your iPhone, and there's a special spot for your iPhone, and it's got surround sound built into this machine.
Considering, AI really hasn't been around for, at least the kind of AI we have, it hasn't really been around that long, and enterprises are really just starting to catch up on it. I mean, you got to imagine what it's going to be like just in a few years. It's going to be just, yeah.
And apparently, anybody can start up an AI company these days, because there was
Yep.
a shoe company recently announced it was pivoting into AI, and its share price went up 600%.
Well, shit.
And you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, this
I did
is
the
kind of
wrong
like with
business.
blockchain. I don't know if you guys remember
Custom.
blockchain. It used to be like anyone throws blockchain into their company,
Yeah.
and their stock prices go
Yeah.
up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the problem is it's still kind of hard to really get return on AI for enterprises, but for things like, adult videos, there's much quicker return.
Oh, yeah. There's definitely going to be a profit on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's a lot easier than trying to sell a movie to, Walt Disney or someone, or
Yeah.
whoever does that sort of stuff anymore.
Yeah,
But
it's
yeah,
not going to be that long before where really low budget movies can be made because of AI, with really, really high quality of visual effects, because
Yeah.
it's really very much within reach for people to do
Yeah.
now.
This
There's
is
bits
the
and pieces of it already happening. Short segments. You see a lot of these 5-second videos that
Yep.
are around all of a sudden that are definitely all AI.
Yeah, go on to
Um,
xhamster.com and have a look
.com
at the.
AU?
Yeah, no, just .com.
No, this is just .com. Okay.
Yeah. If you're in Australia, you have to go through all the verification of the ages and everything and all that. Cause we've
Yeah,
got
I
to use
have
all
no
these
idea
things.
what that site is and what the content is, Ook. So
Yeah, but no, it's pretty tame.
does it have something to do with sex with hamsters?
Yeah, I don't know why they called it ex-hamster.
and I don't want to know either.
No, I don't
because
think I'll look into
hamster.com was taken. That's why.
Yeah, gerbils were right out. They were already gone.
X-gerbils. So someone actually try it out. See if that's,
No, I'm not going to try that.
There's no way that site is not taken. There's no way that someone doesn't own that. Absolutely no way.
Okay, I'm gonna put it in. Oh yeah, it looks like it's at least where I am. I can't reach it,
But
but
but yeah,
Guys, I
the,
gotta call it quits. It's getting late.
all right.
Yeah.
Same
All right,
here as
guys.
well.
Yeah, I
So
gotta go too.
thanks everyone. This was fun. So
Oh,
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
this morning the cat woke me up, and I'm putting it in its cage at 5:30, so I'm hardly awake. I haven't even had a coffee, and I see this little green thing moving across the yard near the cage that the cat's in, or that I'm putting the cat in. So I toss the cat in there, and I go over and have a look, and it's a little green tree snake, and it's sort of like, oh shit, there's kookaburras and everything around here. So I grabbed my walking stick and picked it up, and the neighbour that I don't like, but doesn't have animals, I stuck it on top of his shed. I leaned over and just put it on top of his shed so it can go up a tree and it can happily live over in his place. But yeah, poor little bugger was out in the grass where too many kookaburras will come and make a meal of him. So that was my morning. Saving a snake.
Yay.
All right. Okay. I'm
right,
gonna
fellas.
end it here.
Right.
Thanks everyone for being on in the
All right.
chats. Aaron's. Whoops.
Right.
Oh no.
Hit the
Well,
like
I'm
button.
hitting the limit.
And
Yeah, like,
subscribe,
comment,
please.
subscribe.
All right.
You
And,
gotta
and
go.
good jokes, Tuna.
Yes.
Yeah,
And,
no,
and
I
thanks,
Hey,
Alvin
what about
Henry.
mine?
Very good joke.
You got
And
yeah,
yours
well,
are good
that
too as
time.
well.
All
All
right.
right.
See y'all next week. Be well.
See you
Bye-bye.
guys.
Thank you guys, everybody.
Bye.
Night all.
Challenge your beliefs, let the silence break the silence, shake the faith. Truth survives, the heart is quick. Hold to truth, no more opaque. Reason's voice, it sings so clear through fear we hear. Cut through the noise, dissolve the fear. Rise above what you revere. No more shadows dressed as truth. Light reveals what lies uncouth. No more chains disguised as proof. Reason frees the mind uncouth. Let the evidence ascend. This is fallacy's end. Scriptures written in disguise, veiling men in holy lies. Faith without a place to land. Truth that crumbles when it's scanned. Show me logic carved in flame, not a God who hides in shame. Test the world and break the spell. Truth survives where falsehoods fail. Won't you release, let the silence break the silence, shake the faith. Truth survives, the heart is quake. Hold to truth, no more opaque. Reason's voice, it sings so clear through fear we hear. Through the noise, dissolve the fear. Rise above what you revere. No more shadows dressed as truth. Light reveals what lies uncouth. No more chains disguised as proof. Reason frees the mind uncouth. Let the evidence ascend. This is fallacy's end. No more shadows, only light. No more blind.